It is 4:17 in the afternoon, July 15th, 2020, and somewhere in America, a 17-year-old boy is sitting at a desk. No weapons, no team of professionals, no sophisticated equipment worth millions of dollars, just a laptop, a phone, and a plan that was about to break the internet. At exactly this moment, a tweet appears on Elon Musk's verified Twitter account. Blue tick. Confirmed. Real. It says he is giving back to his community. Send Bitcoin to this address. He will send double back. Millions of people see it instantly. Then Barack Obama's account posts the same message. Then Bill Gates. Then Joe Biden. Then Apple. Then Uber. One after another. The most powerful and trusted accounts on the entire platform. All saying the same thing. All at the same time. Twitter servers are overwhelmed. The trending algorithms explode. The story goes global in minutes. And inside a bedroom somewhere in Tampa, Florida, a 17-year-old watches it all unfold and smiles. But this is not just a story about a hack. This is a story about how the most powerful communication platform on Earth was brought to its knees by a phone call. One phone call, and the person who made it was not old enough to vote. By July 2020, Twitter was no longer just a social media platform. It was the nervous system of the world. Presidents issued foreign policy from it. Markets moved because of it. Wars had nearly started over a single tweet. And at the center of all of it sat one thing that made everything possible. Trust. When a verified account posted something, a blue tick account, the world believed it. That blue tick was a promise. It meant this is real. This person is who they say they are. These words came from them. And in the summer of 2020, that promise was about to be broken in the most spectacular way in the history of the internet. Behind that blue tick and behind every verified account sat a small but critically important group of people. Twitter's internal support staff. These were not engineers. They were not executives sitting in glass offices making million-dollar decisions. They were customer service employees, many working from home, many underpaid, many handling hundreds of requests a day through an internal system that gave them access to something extraordinary. The ability to reset any account, change any email, override any security setting, access private data on any user on the platform. In the right hands, this was a customer service tool. In the wrong hands, it was the most dangerous set of keys in the digital world. And in the summer of 2020, someone very wrong was about to get their hands on them. Graham Ivan Clark was 17 years old. He lived in Tampa, Florida, with no criminal record and no obvious signs of the world he had built for himself online. Because online, Graham Clark was not a teenager from Tampa. Online, he was an operator, fixer, someone who moved through the underground economy of cybercrime with a confidence and fluency that most adults in that world spent years trying to develop. He had started young, learning the mechanics of social engineering, how to sound authoritative on a phone call, how to make a stranger trust you in 30 seconds, how to use information you already have to get information you do not have yet. He was not a genius coder. He did not need to be. What he had was something more dangerous than technical skill. He understood people. Around him, he had assembled a loose network of collaborators. Mason Shepherd, a 19-year-old from Bognor Regis in England, known online as Chai One. He handled the Bitcoin side of the operation, moving money, cleaning transactions. Nima Fazeli, 22 years old from Orlando, Florida, known as Rolex. He had connections to OG account sellers, the underground market for short rare Twitter usernames worth thousands of dollars to the right buyer. Together, they were not a sophisticated criminal organization. They were three young men connected through Discord servers and Telegram groups who saw an opportunity and moved on it faster than anyone could stop them. But the opportunity they saw and the method they used to take it, that is what made this different from every hack that had come before. The plan did not begin with code. It began with research. For weeks before the attack, Clark and his associates studied Twitter's internal structure. They identified employees through LinkedIn. They mapped out which teams had access to which tools. They found the names of people working in Twitter's support division. Then they built something that would do the real work for them. A fake website, a near-perfect replica of Twitter's internal VPN login page. The kind of page Twitter employees used every day to access the company's systems remotely. It looked identical. Same layout, same fonts, same colors, same logo. The only difference was who owned it. Then came the phone calls. Clark called Twitter employees directly. He presented himself as a colleague from the IT department. There was an urgent security issue. It needed to be resolved immediately. Could they please verify their credentials through the internal portal? He was calm. He was professional. He used the right terminology. He knew enough about Twitter's internal systems to sound like someone who belonged there. Most employees hung up. Some were suspicious. But all it took was one person, one employee on one afternoon who was busy, distracted, stressed, and trying to be helpful. That employee typed their credentials into the fake page Clark had built. And the door opened. With legitimate employee credentials in hand, Clark could now access Twitter's internal tools. But a junior employee's access was not enough. He needed more, so he called again and again, working his way through the support team, testing each set of credentials against Twitter's internal admin panel, looking for the one account that had everything. On the afternoon of July 15, 2020, he found it. An employee with full access to Twitter's most powerful internal tools. The kind of access that could touch any account on the platform. Any account, including the most followed, the most trusted, the most powerful accounts in the world. Clark was in. For a few minutes after gaining access, Clark did not move. He looked. Spread across his screens was the internal architecture of one of the most powerful platforms on Earth. Employee accounts, internal communications, account management tools that could reach into any profile on the platform. He could see private account data, direct messages, phone numbers registered to accounts, email addresses, security settings. Everything that a verified user believed was protected behind layers of encryption and corporate security. All of it visible, all of it accessible. He had the keys to every door in the building. And now he was going to open the ones that mattered. He made a list. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Apple, Uber, Kanye West, Michael Bloomberg, Warren Buffett. 16 accounts in total. Each one chosen deliberately, each one globally recognized, each one followed by millions of people who trusted every word that appeared under that name. These were not random targets. They were chosen because people believed in them, and that belief was exactly what Clark was going to use against them. One by one he took control, changing email addresses, disabling two-factor authentication, locking the real owners out of their own accounts. Each takeover took less than 2 minutes. 16 of the most powerful accounts on the internet, controlled by a 17-year-old in a bedroom in Tampa, Florida. And then he started posting. At 4:17 p.m. Eastern Time, the first tweet appeared from Elon Musk's account. Feeling generous because of COVID-19. All Bitcoins sent to this address will be sent back doubled. Musk had 36 million followers at the time. They saw it immediately. Some were skeptical. Many were not, because this was Elon Musk, verified, blue tick, the real account, and he had done unusual things before. This felt like exactly the kind of impulsive generosity his followers had come to expect from him. The Bitcoin address in the tweet belonged to Graham Clark. Within 4 minutes, the same message appeared from Barack Obama's account, then Bill Gates, then Joe Biden, then Apple. Each tweet slightly different in wording, each one pointing to the same Bitcoin wallets. Twitter's algorithm did what it was designed to do. It amplified verified content, pushed the tweets to the top of millions of feeds. It made them trend. The platform was doing exactly what Clark needed it to do, working against itself. The Bitcoin started arriving, not in trickles, in waves. People from around the world sending cryptocurrency to what they believed was a verified charitable initiative from the most trusted names on the internet. Within the first hour, the wallets had received hundreds of transactions. Small amounts, large amounts, people's savings, people's investments. Ordinary people who looked at a blue tick next to Barack Obama's name and made a decision in 30 seconds that they could not take back. In total, across the entire operation, the Bitcoin scam generated $117,000 in a single afternoon from a bedroom in Tampa, Florida. Inside Twitter's San Francisco headquarters, the alarms went off. Not literally, but the effect was the same. Engineers noticed unusual activity on multiple high-profile accounts simultaneously. Support tickets flooded in from verified users reporting they had been locked out. The security team pulled up the internal logs and saw something that made no sense. Legitimate employee credentials, legitimate access, legitimate tool usage. Everything looked authorized, because it was authorized, just not by the right people. Twitter's leadership faced an impossible decision. They could not simply delete the tweets from verified accounts without triggering more panic and more questions. They could not contact each account holder fast enough. They could not immediately identify how the breach had occurred because everything in the logs looked normal. So they made a call that had never been made before in the history of the platform. They locked every verified account on Twitter, every single one. Politicians, celebrities, corporations, news organizations, world leaders. For nearly 2 hours on July 15, 2020, the most powerful voices on the internet went completely silent. Because a 17-year-old had made a phone call. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, posted a single tweet. He called it a tough day. That was an understatement that would become infamous. Because within hours, the United States Senate Commerce Committee had sent a letter to Twitter demanding answers. The FBI had opened an investigation. The Secret Service had been notified because former President Obama's account had been compromised. A hack that had started with a phone call to a work-from-home customer service employee had triggered a national security response. Here is the thing that investigators discovered that changed everything they thought they understood about this case. Graham Clark was not trying to hide. While federal agents were tracing Bitcoin wallets and forensic teams were rebuilding the sequence of events across Twitter's internal systems, Clark was online, on forums, in chat groups, talking about what he had done. Not in confessions, not in explicit admissions, but in the language of someone who wanted to be known, who needed the recognition more than he needed the safety. He had hacked the accounts of the most powerful people on Earth and made over $100,000 in an afternoon. And he could not stay quiet about it. The FBI's cyber division moved fast. Investigators traced the Bitcoin wallets through the blockchain. Every transaction on a blockchain is permanent and public. The wallets Clark had used left a trail. From the wallets, they traced cryptocurrency exchange accounts. From the exchange accounts, they found identity verification records. From the identity records, they found names. Simultaneously, they were working through the forum activity, the chat logs, the boastful references that Clark and his associates had scattered across the internet in the hours and days after the hack. Each breadcrumb leading closer. Mason Shepherd in England was identified first through his cryptocurrency activity. Nima Fazeli in Florida was connected through his OG account dealings, which investigators had been monitoring through undercover operations in underground forums. And Graham Clark. The investigators found him through a combination of the forum activity, the Bitcoin trail, and one crucial technical mistake. A single IP address, unmasked, just once, connecting directly back to a device in Tampa, Florida. One moment of carelessness in hours of otherwise careful operation. That was enough. On July 31, 2020, 16 days after the hack, law enforcement moved simultaneously across 3 locations. In Tampa, Florida, local police and federal agents arrested Graham Ivan Clark at his home. In Bognor Regis, England, authorities arrested Mason Shepherd. In Orlando, Florida, Nima Fazeli was taken into custody. All 3 on the same morning. 16 days, from the biggest social media hack in history to 3 simultaneous arrests across 2 countries. In 16 days, the charges against Graham Clark were extensive. 30 felony counts in the state of Florida. Because Clark was 17 at the time of the crime, Florida prosecutors made the decision to charge him as an adult. A decision that was controversial but legally available given the scale and sophistication of the crime. His legal team negotiated. In March 2021, Clark pleaded guilty to multiple counts of fraud and computer crime charges. The sentence, 3 years in a juvenile detention facility followed by 3 years of probation. A sentence that many legal observers considered lenient given the scale of the crime. A sentence that his victims, the ordinary people who had sent their Bitcoin to his wallets, found deeply unsatisfying. Mason Shepherd pleaded guilty in the United States to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and intentional access of a protected computer. Nima Fazeli pleaded guilty to aiding and abetting the intentional access of a protected computer. Both faced significant federal sentences. The operation that had taken 1 afternoon to execute took years to fully prosecute across 2 jurisdictions. For Twitter, the aftermath was brutal. Congressional hearings, security audits, demands from legislators for detailed explanations of how their internal systems had been compromised by a teenager using a phone call. Twitter overhauled its internal access controls, segmented its admin tools so no single employee could access high-profile accounts without multi-level authorization, expanded security training, introduced new protocols for remote worker verification. But the damage to trust was harder to repair than the technical vulnerabilities. Because the question that the hack had answered, the question that nobody at Twitter wanted answered publicly, was a simple one. How secure is the platform that the world trusts with its most important communications? The answer in July 2020 was, not very. 2 years after the hack, Elon Musk purchased Twitter for $44 billion. He renamed it X, and in the weeks after the acquisition, he publicly complained about the platform's security infrastructure, its internal culture, its lack of rigorous technical oversight. He was not wrong, but there was an irony in a man who had his account used to steal $100,000 from his own followers, becoming the owner of the platform that had allowed it to happen. Twitter's security problem did not end with 3 arrests in July 2020. Continued, and continues still. Here is what July 15, 2020 actually proved. Not that teenagers are dangerous. Not that Twitter was uniquely incompetent. Not that Bitcoin enables crime, though all of those things have some truth in them. What it proved was something that cybersecurity professionals had been saying for decades without anyone truly listening. The most sophisticated security system in the world can be bypassed by one convincing phone call. Firewalls, encryption, two-factor authentication, biometric verification. None of it matters if a human being on the other end of a phone line can be persuaded to hand over access. This is called social engineering, and it is not a technical problem. It is a human one. Graham Clark served his time. He was released. He is in his early 20s now. The $117,000 in Bitcoin he stole was seized by authorities. The accounts were restored. The tweets were deleted. The platform moved on. But those ordinary people who sent their savings to a Bitcoin address because Barack Obama and Elon Musk and Bill Gates told them to, most of them never got their money back. They trusted the blue tick, and the blue tick lied. Not because Obama lied. Not because Gates lied. Not because Musk lied. Because a 17-year-old in Tampa, Florida understood something that billions of people who use the internet every day still have not fully accepted. Online, trust is the most dangerous thing you can give away. The next time you see a verified account posting something that seems almost too good to be true, remember July 15, 2020. Remember that for 2 hours the most powerful voices on the internet belonged to a teenager with a phone and a plan. And remember that the only thing standing between your money and someone else's pocket is your willingness to stop and think before you click.